It's become a grim ritual, another summer in California, another news cycle dominated by images of raging infernos. This time, it's Palisade, a town etched onto our maps and seared into our collective consciousness. But this isn't just another natural disaster, no, this feels different. This feels intentional. The air is thick with smoke and suspicion. Residents huddle in shelters, their faces etched with a mixture of grief and anger. They've lost everything: homes, memories, a sense of security. But amidst the ashes, a chilling question emerges. Were these fires truly an act of nature, or something more sinister? This is the story of the Palisade fires, a story of devastation and resilience, but also a story riddled with unanswered questions. A story that forces us to confront an unsettling possibility, that the very ground beneath our feet is being stolen, not by the forces of nature, but by the greed of man. The numbers tell a story of unimaginable loss. Hundreds of homes reduced to ash, thousands of acres scorched earth. And the human cost? Incalculable. Families torn apart, livelihoods destroyed, a community left reeling in the wake of unimaginable devastation. We meet Sarah, a single mother who escaped with nothing but her 2 children and the clothes on their backs. Her eyes, red-rimmed and filled with a mixture of exhaustion and defiance, tell a story that words cannot. "We lost everything," she whispers, clutching her children tightly. "But they won't break us. We'll rebuild." But rebuilding is a daunting task. The physical scars left by the fires are easy to see. The charred trees, the rubble-strewn streets, the empty spaces where homes once stood. It's the invisible scars that run deeper, the trauma, the grief, the gnawing uncertainty of the future. These are the wounds that will take generations to heal. As the smoke begins to clear, a disturbing pattern emerges. The fires, while devastating, seem to target specific areas. Valuable land, ripe for development, now lies vacant, cleared of the pesky inconvenience of human habitation. Coincidence, perhaps? Or maybe something more nefarious is at play. Rumors swirl like embers in the wind. Whispers of developers circling like vultures, eager to snatch up prime real estate at bargain prices. Stories of residents pressured to sell their land in the wake of the disaster. The pieces of the puzzle are scattered, but when you start putting them together, a chilling picture begins to form. Could the Palisade fires be a modern-day land grab, orchestrated to displace residents and clear the way for profitable development? The idea seems unthinkable, yet the evidence, circumstantial though it may be, is hard to ignore. Sadly, the idea of exploiting disasters for profit is nothing new. History is littered with examples of tragedy being used as a springboard for greed. From the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which conveniently cleared the way for the city's expansion, to the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, where developers swooped in to buy up devastated neighborhoods, the playbook remains the same. Remember the story of Pruitt-Ego, the public housing project in St. Louis. Deemed unlivable and demolished, the land sat vacant for years until, surprise, surprise, a shiny new shopping center magically appeared. Sound familiar? The truth is, disaster capitalism thrives on chaos and desperation. It preys on the vulnerable, exploiting their misfortune for personal gain. And in the smoldering ruins of Palisade, one can't help but wonder if history is repeating itself. Section 5. Follow the money. Who profits from the ashes? To understand the forces at play in Palisade, we need to follow the money. Who stands to gain the most from the fires? The answer, unsurprisingly, leads us to the doorstep of powerful corporations and wealthy developers. Take, for instance, Omnicorp, a shadowy conglomerate with a history of acquiring valuable land through questionable means. Records show that Omnicorp had been eyeing Palisade for years, their proposals for luxury developments repeatedly shot down by the community. Now, with the land conveniently cleared, Omnicorp is strangely silent. Too silent, perhaps. And let's not forget the politicians who benefit from generous campaign contributions from these very same corporations. Their silence in the face of such blatant exploitation speaks volumes. Are they complicit, or merely indifferent to the plight of the people they are sworn to represent? Section 6. The government's role savior or silent partner. The government's response to the Palisade fires has been, to put it mildly, underwhelming. The devastation is widespread, and the scars on the land are a testament to the ferocity of the flames. Sure, there are the obligatory photo ops with weary firefighters and promises of aid. These moments are carefully crafted to project an image of concern and action, but behind the platitudes lies a troubling reality: a lack of urgency, a lack of accountability, and a disturbing absence of concrete plans to prevent future disasters, and a distinct lack of answers. The promises made in the heat of the moment often fade away, leaving communities to fend for themselves. Where is the investigation into the cause of the fires? The silence is deafening, and the lack of transparency is alarming. Where is the outrage at the possibility of foul play? The community's anger is palpable, yet it seems to fall on deaf ears. Where is the support for the displaced families struggling to rebuild their lives? These families need more than just temporary shelters. They need a path to recovery. It's easy to feel cynical, to believe that the government is either complicit in this scheme or simply doesn't care. The skepticism grows with each unanswered question. To believe that the government is either complicit in this scheme or simply doesn't care. The shadows of doubt loom large over the officials, but we can't afford to lose hope. The community's resilience is a beacon of light in these dark times. We need to demand answers. Our voices must be louder than the silence of inaction. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. They must be reminded of their duty to the people who put them in power. We need to remind them that their duty is to serve the people, not the corporations lining their pockets. The fight for justice and accountability is far from over, not the corporations lining their pockets. The influence of money in politics must be challenged if we are to see real change. Section 7. Fighting back communities rise from the ashes. Despite the devastation and the unanswered questions, the spirit of Palisade remains unbroken. The community, though scarred, is not defeated. They gather strength from each other, finding solace in their shared experiences and collective resolve. From the ashes of tragedy emerges a powerful movement of resistance. This movement is not just about rebuilding physical structures, but about restoring hope and reclaiming their future. Residents, refusing to be silenced or displaced, are coming together to demand justice and rebuild their community on their own terms. They are organizing town hall meetings, sharing resources, and supporting each other in every possible way. We meet Daniel, a young activist who lost his home in the fires. Daniel's story is one of many, but his determination stands out. He has become a beacon of hope for many in Palisade. He shows us the community garden they've created in a vacant lot, a symbol of hope and resilience. This garden is more than just a place to grow food, it's a testament to their enduring spirit. They tried to burn us down, he says, his voice filled with quiet determination. But we are more than just buildings and homes. We're like the seeds in this garden, he continues. We may be small now, but we will grow stronger and more resilient from the ashes. We'll grow stronger from the ashes. This garden, once a barren lot, now flourishes with life, symbolizing the community's rebirth. Their fight is about more than just bricks and mortar. It's about preserving their history, their culture, and their very identity. They are restoring historic buildings and preserving cultural artifacts, ensuring that their heritage is not lost. It's about preserving their history, their culture, their very identity. They celebrate cultural events and create murals that tell the story of their community, keeping their traditions alive. It's about ensuring that the future of Palisade is decided by the people who call it home, not by corporations driven by greed. They protest against corporate greed, holding signs and demanding justice, making it clear that their community's future is in their hands. Section 8. Seeking Truth, Unanswered Questions, and the Need for Transparency. The fight for Palisade is far from over. Too many questions remain unanswered. Why were certain areas targeted by the fires? Who stands to gain from the destruction? Why is the government so reluctant to investigate? The truth, as they say, is out there, but it's buried beneath layers of obfuscation, denial, and outright lies. It's time to demand transparency, to shine a light on the shadowy dealings that led to this disaster. We need a full and independent investigation into the cause of the Palisade fires. We need to hold those responsible accountable, whether they be greedy corporations, corrupt officials, or both, and most importantly, we need to listen to the voices of the people of Palisade, the people who have lost everything but their determination to rebuild. Section 9. The Future Burns, Preventing the Next Palisade. The story of Palisade is a cautionary tale. A stark reminder of the human cost of greed and the fragility of our communities in the face of disaster. The flames that consumed Palisade were not just a natural disaster, they were a consequence of years of neglect, poor planning, and a lack of foresight. The charred remains of homes and the devastated landscape serve as a grim testament to what happens when profit is prioritized over people. But it's also a story of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of collective action. In the aftermath, we saw communities come together, neighbors helping neighbors, and volunteers from all walks of life stepping up to rebuild what was lost. We can't afford to let Palisade become just another statistic, another footnote in the annals of disaster capitalism. The memorials and community meetings are not just about remembering the past, but about forging a path to a safer future. We need to learn from this tragedy, to demand better from our leaders, and to fight for a future where communities are valued over profits, and where disasters, natural or man-made, are not exploited but met with compassion and a commitment to justice. The voices of the people must be heard, and their demands for better fire safety regulations must be met with action. The future is unwritten, but it's up to us to ensure that the next chapter isn't filled with the ashes of indifference. The rebuilding efforts and the hopeful sunrise over a recovering landscape remind us that change is possible, but it requires vigilance and dedication. The fight for Palisade is a fight for us all. It's a fight for a future where our communities are safe, where our leaders are accountable, and where our collective actions can prevent the next disaster. Because if we don't learn from the mistakes of the past, we are doomed to repeat them, and the next time, it could be our community going up in flames. The concerned faces of residents watching a nearby wildfire serve as a stark reminder that the threat is ever present, and the time to act is now.